Hi Russell, how you doing?
Good, how you doing, Rich?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. And hi everyone. We're coming back to you with some more Junkpunk news this week. We've had a big discussion and we've got a lot of changes that we want to make. And I actually, Russell, will let you lead this one, to be honest, man, because we had a big discussion yesterday. Russell has been doing a lot of playtesting, and Kevin has had his focus group as well. So maybe we can touch on that. I think we should also bring Kevin into these, actually, Russell.
Yeah,
Total random thing,
I
but
think he would
yeah,
like to be in this kind of thing as well.
yeah. Well, Kevin has been approaching people in the Junkpunk Discord and speaking to you guys about what you'd like and dislike. But Russell, you've got all the notes. You've done all the playtesting. I agreed with a lot of it yesterday. So let's just go through the changes that we want to make and we're going to push out.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and then should we start off by saying that we're changing how we're updating because we were going to just push out huge Monolith 3 update. That's probably the first
Yes.
thing we should address, right?
Yeah, it's going to be just a. This update is going to be a Monolith One rework update.
Yeah, because so here's the deal. We have worked out, right, and this is complicated, a complicated situation. We've worked out, and this is kind of the same with Gunsmith, is that we keep adding more and more content, and we keep putting more stuff in the game, and that we've had a big lull over the last 4 months or so with Junkpunk and Gunsmith because we've had to restructure how the entire business works. It's taken months. We've had to basically do a lot of things internally to restructure like finance and all this kind of stuff. And one day I will explain it all in great detail to the community. But now that restructure is done, we can continue with making the game. However, what we've realised is looking back at our previous games, is that when we just keep adding content without moving the dial, it doesn't actually help grow the game or keep the game alive, and then that just gives us another problem. So when we now do updates, we need to make sure that they're effective and they are fixing problems, and we're creating a really good game because all we can go off of is word of mouth. We don't have the money to do loads of marketing, and we need basically for people to share the game online and say, hey, this is a really great game. So that gives us no other option really apart from to try and convince people to play it, convince people to talk about it, and hopefully get some streamers to play it, right? So when we look at the games, and we had a big discussion about this as well, Russell, and before I hand it over to you to discuss the update. When we look at our games, we have put out so many updates which our existing people kind of like, but it doesn't ever impact the score. It just seems to stay static, and also it doesn't seem to influence growth, and it doesn't help the game. Right? We seem to just put a lot of time and energy into making these updates, but then does it grow? We may get a blip of returning players, but then there's still problems, still things there where we are on the decline, basically. Um, and that is what we have to fix because there's no point in us pushing out giant updates that take months, cost tens of thousands, and then we don't get any growth. It's just business suicide, and it ultimately means that we can't finish the products for our players, which is not good, right? So this is like the business assessment that we've done, and it's the fine art of balancing the game, the business, how what it's doing and what trajectory is, right? Um, that's my kind of 2 cents there. I think Russell, you got anything to
Yeah,
add to that?
and I mean, yeah, you pretty much just hit the nail on the head, really.
Mm. Um, because when everything's going right and you've got a game that's going like updates going well, and that update gets more people in, then the game starts to grow, and then you can dedicate more time to it. Whereas we have the inverse, so we're trying to work out why that's happening, and that's why Kevin's done the focus groups. That's why you've been doing the playtests, because doing the same thing over and over again is insanity. And I know people want an update; they want more, but we
Hmm.
don't. We are not confident that just adding more will actually help the game grow or even survive, right? So, but what we have done, which has been what you're about to explain, Russell, is we found a lot of areas where we think that it could be causing that problem. I feel that
Yeah,
problem of like,
yeah,
oh, people are just bailing, people are getting frustrated, um, and I also think there's some I think there's some merit to the fact that you shouldn't be, and I feel maybe we've been in this problem. We've been a bit too comfortable that we are in a high, mid to high 70s positive game because people generally like it. So maybe that gives us a false sense of security that people are like, they're supporting us and they want the game to do well, but actually we have thousands of players that go on there, they don't leave a review. Are they actually leaving and not saying anything because of a frustration? And that's what's causing the drop in players. That's
Yeah,
what's causing the game to not grow, right? They're just the silent, I'm out of here. And then
exactly.
obviously
And
all of that
it,
information gets picked up by Steam, and it's like, oh well, maybe this game isn't as popular as it should be, so stop promoting it.
yeah, and it's like I was just gonna say that if we were to push a Monolith free update, the players who are like people, some people just never even going to reach that kind of content in the first place.
Because
Like
they're
40,
frustrated by the
40
base
hours into
game
the
anyway.
game. Yeah, so
Hmm.
I think there's more fundamental things that we should change before we add like big content drops
Yeah,
to players who might not even ever even see the
get
light of day of that kind of content.
yeah. I agree, and this is kind of why we did the player update. We tried. I know. I think it definitely improved it, and considering that you went, oh, the upgrade station and stuff is really good, and we can do a lot with that. I think that is
Hmm.
supportive of the fact that that was a good addition, but again, are they going to get to 1, 2, 3, etc.? I know some people will. Some people will love it and they'll just do it. But they're the kind of players, and I love you, all of you out there, that will just play it all forever, and you really love what it is now. That's great, and we're really happy that you enjoy it that much. However, this is like a nuanced uh, balance of trying to get people that may be leaving to like basically keep enjoying their experience, right? And we're always learning. The more games we make, generally, the higher the score goes, the better it is. However, we have genre hopped as a company, so we're always kind of learning, but we're learning in different types of games. So that one thing we're getting better at is automation and crafting belts, stuff like that. But with Gunsmith, for example, we jump from being a top-down management to a third-person exploration factory builder, right? So we got all these different things that we've introduced, probably stuff that isn't the best, right?
Yeah,
Whereas for some companies, they'd be like, "Oh, this was simple. Why didn't you do this?" For us, it was still the first time, but this is just, I think, the growing pains of running a game studio, trying to survive in a competitive market, and always against the clock, which we're not anymore. So that's great, but um, now it's our time to really like look back and um, work out those frustrations, work out why it is not successful as it should be. And that has taken a long time to go through every system, every reason, do the focus groups. You've played it, Russell. We've had meetings, and we're like basically not just trying to throw stuff at the wall, and go,
hmm,
let's see what sticks here. We really needed to work out why what was happening, and that is something where we basically said, right, this is going to suck a bit, but we have to postpone 3 because is it worth it? Because we're going to chuck out this big update, chuck a load of players on there, spend 30 minutes or an hour in the game, frustrated, not even going to get to 2, let alone 3.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So then that basically ruins all of our work. Uh, you know. So that's
Exactly.
why we've done what we've done. That's why we're deciding to do this, and it will be what. And when I hand over to Russell in a minute, I think once you all hear what he has to say and the discussion we've had, you'll understand the changes that we're about to make, because I think they're all really good, and I think what Russell's identified is some really good improvements and additions that we can start to work on and push out. And yeah, I think I'm probably done there, Russell. I might give it to you now, mate.
Okay. I mean, I've got a pretty big list in front of me.
Yeah,
And I guess I'll start with the main thing, which is the rework to Monolith One itself. And this might be quite well received. I am planning to basically just scrap the entire biological key and the farming side of the game,
yeah,
um, and replace it with something new, which I feel like will kind of be revealed later on. It is a new kind of key, which should involve a bit more map exploration. So you have to kind of go around the map in order to obtain different parts, and
yeah.
you're exposed to the lore and the world a little bit more, and it should kind of take you outside of just sitting outside of Monolith One a bit.
Yeah, because this is the thing that you
Um,
discussed, was the fact that when you do Monolith One, you basically, and I noticed this as well when we made it and when we launched, players would just make the base outside, go back in, complete, and they're kind of done.
yeah,
And that again we've spent hundreds of hours crafting this bespoke map, and then you don't really have to explore it. There's no driver
Exactly.
for that, yeah. So you're totally right, and it's something that I realized a long time ago. But we again were kind of tunnel visioned on just getting updates out.
Hmm.
Whereas actually, like now that you've not really been involved and come on board, and we've said like, okay, look at it, for, like, you know, without any bias, and go and find the problems you think, and having that has been really helpful because when you've played it and you've played it for the first time, you've immediately said these are the things, and I think Kevin's picked up things like this as well when he's done his focus group. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It's bringing in some meaning to the world
yeah,
and a bit
absolutely,
more player motivation.
yeah. So what's the next
Um,
thing?
well, it kind of comes in with a redesigned quest system and tutorial system.
Mm,
So just like you were saying with Sitting Outside Monolith 1, we're going to change the intro of the game a bit
yep.
and also make it so that rather than having to build your factory right outside of where you spawn in the tutorial, you are instead first summoned to meet Pow in Monolith 1.
Mhm.
And there, from there, he will take you through a much more in-depth tutorial, which will hopefully clear up a lot of kind of UI issues. It will introduce players to. I mean, for example, I went 40 hours in the whole gameplay without even realizing you could press K to open up the recipe menu.
Yes.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Uh, so small stuff like that, I feel like, yeah, even just like,
Which
this
like,
is how you open up your inventory. This is how you equip items.
yeah.
Just a lot more basic,
Which,
in-depth
you
kind
know
of stuff
what,
like that.
you know, myself and Ed will have to hold our hands up here and just say like that was terrible. Like those kind of things were terrible. And that was the kind of stuff that just got missed because we were running out of time to launch the game basically, and we
Yeah.
had a big project that we. This is the biggest thing. Like anyone that's been buying our games and has stuck with us over the years will know that we're overly ambitious, and it usually causes problems. But we do get around to fixing these things eventually. But again, this is a thing where we have suffered the over ambition, and we're identifying that, you know, you've got to just be realistic and actually admit you're over ambitious. But now what can we do to fix that? And I think it's when you identify those kind of things. Oh, we put a recipe thing in there, we programmed it in, and it's very helpful. But then did we actually tell players that the things there? We didn't. So again, load of work went in there. We didn't actually
Hmm.
translate that help to players. Nightmare, you know. And that's
Yeah.
purely just because we didn't have time to iterate and do things that we wanted to do. And I feel like we'd never let that happen again on new developments. We know now. But um, you're completely right there, Russell, you know.
So yeah, let's another kind of change is going to be a much more
Mm,
the refined tutorial system
yeah,
and quest system. Um, Next on the list is going to be a complete rework to the health and power system
yeah,
because as it stands, low power becomes redundant by NWR2, Monolith 2, and in the beginning of the game, it is just a massive annoyance and probably just deters a lot of players. I remember during my playthrough, I was just getting so frustrated by the
yeah,
fact that I'm having to stop every couple of seconds because I'm running out of power, and it's just.
yeah.
And health is also kind of not even really a useful thing as well, which is something we were discussing yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you can only die through water, and you never even really need to go into water. So
Yeah, absolutely.
this is something that we're going to be tinkering with a lot.
Yeah.
Um,
And you know what? Like, when we were talking about this yesterday, I realised that you were absolutely right. We have health, we have power. Health is purely just used for if you go into the water, it will drain the health, you know? Because we
mm,
don't have full damage, we don't have enemies. I mean, enemies is a whole new ballpark, but I think that let's, you know, take it one step at a time here.
well,
I
I
think,
mean, I think we play to our strength, which is I don't think Junkpunk really needs enemies.
I don't
I
think it
think a
needs
lot
them,
of the
no.
community like the fact that it's quite a casual
I
kind of
agree. Yeah,
yeah.
with
So
the power thing, I think you have got something really good there because you want to link everything into power, yeah, and make
mhm,
that far more valuable and have that as
yes,
the kind of survival driver, rather than you just again,
it's going to be a merger of the two. So
yeah,
health kind
yeah,
of becomes your power in a way,
absolutely,
and
yeah,
we're going to try
and
to aim to add a little bit more meaning to running out of power as well,
yeah,
which comes with a more flashy UI when you're running out of power, some more
yeah,
warnings. Just yeah, the whole kind of just
absolutely,
rework.
yeah. because it's about identifying the kind of pointless stuff as well, and that I think is what really interesting. That you when you talk about health, and then when you said that to me yesterday, I was like, you know what, he's totally right. Like, what are we doing? What is the only we put health in? So like, if you go into the water, you'll die, right? But
Hmm.
then that's the only reason. And why are we taking up an entire UI bar and an entire mechanic for the one sole reason that you go into the water?
Yeah.
So when you look at it like, is it subjectively the right word? I don't even know. But like, if you look at it like that, it's kind of like, okay, does this deserve even a UI? Does this deserve to even be on the screen when it's that unimportant? You know.
Hmm.
So why not wrap everything into power? If you go into the water, it drains the power, and maybe you need power to activate things. Maybe you need power to open doors. Maybe you need power to turn things on or activate things. I already said activate things. Maybe you know, and that requires you to upgrade the robot, right?
Yeah,
So
which
it
comes
all,
into the next kind of stage of the rework, which is
yeah,
the upgrade station.
yeah,
Um, I've got a lot of ambitious ideas for this, and I feel like this is something that we're going to put on hold for a little bit because the changes are going to be pretty big, and we are going to kind of wait for that.
yeah,
But the bare minimum for now in the upgrade station is adding descriptions and kind of tinkering with it a little bit because
yeah.
no
Well,
one actually knows what the micro details are of the different upgrades. There just
yeah.
needs to be like a nice little text box description at the bottom.
Absolutely. And when I come and do the UI, I know you're already working on certain parts like the rework of Monolith One, descriptions and stuff like that. But I think we've done a lot of research now into having a good UI that flows, a good UI that is not that's intuitive, a good UI that's accessible. So we're gonna do a third tear out of the UI and actually make it much nicer. It was very tricky transitioning from a factory management top-down UI to a basically a player UI, something that we hadn't done before as well. So now we've done a lot of iteration, done a lot of research, done a lot of testing on that. I think that the next iteration of the UI, again, now that we're discussing the game mechanics in more detail, we know what we want to push in to be more important, like the power, taking out the health. That gives us more space on the screen, so that's gone, and we can emphasize the power mechanic, and the power mechanic can flow into the upgrade station and also into the actual game in itself. So you've actually got a proper game loop there with that
Yeah,
with what you've said there, Russell, which is really good, right? So and then that as well gives us a whole bunch of tasks and challenges that we can implement. Like you've got to go here to find this piece of tech to upgrade the robot, otherwise you can't get that power capacity. You know.
yeah.
So that is the kind of stuff that we've been having a lot of meetings about and a lot of like design talk about, and really trying to nail down how we can make the game fun and what's really beneficial for people to play the game. Because with all of this in there, I think you're far more likely to drive players to keep playing and get to Monolith 3 rather than this is really annoying. Why have I got the health bar? Why this? Why that? Etc. Etc. Etc.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, that also comes with, like you were just saying, a whole bunch of other UI tweaks, quality of life improvements, and just
Mhm.
I got like a huge list of just small changes that's all going to come in. But it's not
Yeah.
really like just small stuff like
Did you want to talk about
off
the
the top of my head,
respawning?
like a chest sort button as well. So what do you
Yes,
say?
yes, yeah, chest spawn, but yeah, definitely that one. I was just saying, did you want to talk about the intro and the
Yeah,
respawning?
yeah. The intro is going to be completely reworked. We're going to have Leaf spawn in a different place, which is going to be kind of like a Leaf bot factory type thing,
Yeah,
especially after the player death rework as well. So you're
yeah,
going to come in somewhere new, getting rid of the old ship. Um, yeah, and just kind of that's all going to kind of incorporate like a bigger structure for continuous lore within the game, like
yeah,
a Monolith 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 progression type thing.
yeah,
Um, and for actual content, we're going to be bringing in a scrap drone, a tier 1 resource collecting drone,
yep,
which I think would probably replace the laser beam because there's been a lot of complaints about the laser beam,
yes.
the laser machine. So yeah, that should play a lot more into the automation type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of all the main stuff really. Like I said, there's a whole lot of other smaller different things, and this is all going to come with a whole lot more level design and UI tweaks, like you were just saying. So I think there's a lot to be excited about.
Yeah, I think this is going to be like the player update. When we did it, we tried to achieve what we're trying to achieve again now, and I feel
Hmm.
like this will also benefit greatly the overall user experience. So the frustrations are gone. The game mechanics are tighter. Just all of that kind of the iteration that it needed that you would love to have there for launch if you had the time and money to do it.
Yeah,
Now we can do that, right? We're just taking it. We're taking our time and we're making sure that it's done right. So
yeah,
I know people out there are going to be like, what is going on with this game? It's not that we're gone and we've abandoned it. Like I've always said, like you can speak to me in Discord, you can speak to Russell in the Discord. We're here every day. It's just that we are having a super deep dive, and it is taking months to organise what we want to put in and how we're going to do it, because we've now got a hard rule of we're not pushing updates unless we know it's going to positively affect the game, both with new players coming on, current players enjoying what you've already paid for more, and helping people stay on the game and enjoy it more and just get rid of all those frustrations.
hmm,
And I feel like I already felt like the foundation still needed to be improved on. You have also identified a lot of things that need to be improved on. Kevin has identified a lot of things that need to be improved on, and that is a huge amount of work. Like there's a lot of work there.
there is, and
But it,
to keep it consistent all the way through as well, because
yeah,
what's going to come next after this is going to be a Monolith 2 rework update.
yeah,
So we're trying to work from the ground up
yeah,
through the monoliths to get towards Monolith 3 finally and make sure
yeah,
everything before Monolith 3 is seamless.
mm,
Like there's a big issue with different item resources. Like
yeah,
the sheer amount of stuff that you have at the end of Monolith 1 that you never even touch or use in Monolith 2 is a pretty big problem.
yeah,
And changes like that are going to take a while to really iron out and make sure it's consistent.
yeah. And I completely agree with all of those things. Um, and it just comes with time and experience. And I just want to say, like, don't all is not lost when it comes to Monolith 3, because me and Ed have done a ton of work on all of Monolith 3 and some of 4
Hmm.
as well. So it's not like we actually. It's not like we're going to be going into Monolith 3 and be like, okay, let's start. That has also been being made for months.
Yeah,
We have the
it's all going to be used somewhere down the line.
yeah, we have the models done for both monoliths. Like Java's made both of them. I've done like 1.5, if not 2 floors of the interior of one of them. We've done the big event that happens at the end of Monolith 3 as well. So like we have done a lot
All the
there. That
drone stuff and the
yeah,
like
there's
the
yeah
plant
we've
stuff.
programmed a new drone AI, and like you've seen all of that I think on the previous stuff we put out. So it's not like no work's been done. We're going at pace to try and work out why we have these problems we have now, and I think this will be really helpful, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
So now what we're going to do is we're going to go and plan exactly how we're going to implement all of this, and then we're going to start making it. And we're going to Russell's going to do his first game update. His first, and you know what? I will be very happy for you. But if your update manages to shift the review score faster than I could do it, I am going to be a bit salty. So, but at least it'll prove that we're going in the right direction. So
I think that's a good motivation for the community. Everyone
yeah.
just upvote the game so I can look better than Richard.
On your first update, and I've done like 100 updates in my career. If you manage to shift that review score, and it is well received, and but I think it will be. Like I have to say, like you've done a great job, and I think as a team as well. Like we've discussed it with Ed, we discussed it with David, discussed it with Java, everything. Sorry, Kevin, not Java. And we're only at this point now where I think we have got high confidence in what we're doing for this update. We've had so many meetings about it and why we think it will be good for the game, and we've all been like, okay, is this the right thing? Is this the wrong thing? The
Yeah.
time that we've not had before. Now we're actually spending that time on, getting Kevin to just go and speak to random people, go and like find people in the community and discuss with them what they think is the worst problems and all of that. Do we have
Which
you
is a
got?
similar thing we're going to do with Gunsmith when we come
Yeah,
around to that.
absolutely. Yeah. I was reading a couple of things that there's a guy called Daddy the Chef, I think, in is that his name? I always forget. always throws me. But I think I just call him Daddy. But yeah, he's been playing the game for years on Gunsmith, and he's got some really valid points there as well that we're going to be putting into the big Gunsmith update. Because that's the thing, Gunsmith is mine and Ed's baby as well. Like, for all of you who are listening and you have Junkpunk and Gunsmith, Gunsmith, you will know, has had, like, I can't even remember, probably over 30 content updates. It's just crazy. Now, surely after that many updates and improvements, you should be going up. We stayed the same, if not tapered down a bit. So it's a huge alarm bell for us that not only did we have the community saying don't release 1.0 yet, we want you to polish stuff. Similarly, when we're putting out content, we're not achieving the results we wanted to achieve, and we can only launch the game into 1.0 one time. So if that means that I have to delay it for months or even a year to get it right, then I will, to be honest, because me and Ed have sunk like over will be nearly 5 years or something into that game. So I don't want to just launch it and it like kind of squibs out on the 1.0 and nothing really changes. It's the same thing there, Russell.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so that's where we are on that, guys, and that probably wraps it up for me. Unless you got anything else you want to say, Russell.
No, that's pretty much it. I think we covered all the major stuff for the update.
Yeah.
And like I was saying, there is a lot more smaller tweaks, stuff I've taken from Steam reviews and my own gameplay. Just there's a lot of stuff that's going to be coming in this next update.
What would you say from what you've seen is like the biggest peeve that people are annoyed about?
I honestly, I think the UI, like the
Yeah.
UI interactions. Another one that's just come to mind is the distance you can interact with an object. Just like small stuff. Just there's so many small little changes that I feel like we could tweak just to improve quality of life.
Yeah. 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 Agreed.
And yeah, like map exploration, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. UI. We'll definitely do UI again, and we're gonna overhaul that, and it's gonna look much better, and it's gonna look much cleaner, I think.
yep,
But it's a learning process. This is early access at the end of the day. Like, this is literally, we don't have the time and money to make a full product, so we're going to do it and launch it into early access and develop it over time.
yeah, and you learn from experience and stuff like that too.
Yeah, and
So
I actually, there's one more last thing as well that I want to bring up about early access, and it's something that I've realised as well. I think one of the biggest flaws, not just us, I think other developers do it too. Some developers do it right, some developers do it wrong. But this is a mistake that we made as well. So we used to plan, like, let's make an early access game, yeah? So we're going to make Junkpunk and we're going to launch Junkpunk and then we're going to keep working on Junkpunk. But the first part, launching the game, making the game, launching it to early access, that is all, like, perfect. Like, we know how to do that and we can do that. But what we've never planned is what happens after we've launched. We've always said, like, we'll see what happens at launch, we'll make that plan then. I think what we need to do in future, and we will be doing it in future, is that we make the early access development plan and we have at least a skeleton / template of what we're doing after early access, the times things are coming out, the dates we want it to be done, and then what we can do is, depending on its success, basically we go, okay, it's done this well, these are the things we wanted to do at this bracket. So kind of like Kickstarters, I think we kind of need to do the same thing with the early access development roadmap. So it's like a Kickstarter. It's like, oh, if we do 50,000 copies, then we can do this. We do 100,000 copies, we can do this. And although it's not like Kickstarter because you don't see it publicly, I think internally you have to do that as a developer. So, you've launched into early access. Oh, great, we've done 20,000 copies. That means that we think we've got the time and the finance to do this. But whereas right now we'd have just gone, oh great, we've done 20,000 copies. What should we put in the next update? Do you see what I mean, Russell?
yeah,
So
yeah.
I think that's something that has thrown a massive spanner in the works because with both Gunsmith and Junkpunk, we just kept going and kept going and kept going and kept going. When really we probably should have been like, right, this is what we've got. This is how successful we are. What can we do to give players a complete experience? Get to that point. And then if it does well after that, then we add more and add more, rather than just keep adding until it kind of goes the way we want. And in both circumstances, it hasn't gone the way we wanted. So now we need to readjust that as well. But yeah, 30 minutes or so now, so I think we should probably wrap it up. But it's more
Yeah.
like the SCT podcast now at this point.
And just to put people's mind at ease, we should have a date for this update coming out
Yeah.
semi soon, right?
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. We'll I imagine a week or so, maybe 2 weeks at most. We'll have a full plan for this, and we can start to implement the dates and times that we think we'll put it out. But yeah, thank you very much, everyone, and we'll see you soon with the next update. And it'll be worth it. We promise.
It will. It will.
Cool. All right. Let's wrap it up. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.